Hi everyone and welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about the issue of transitioning to DE instruction, whether you've previously taught for us in a different modality such as face-to-face or ISP. So there are really three scenarios that I can think of in terms of transitioning to DE instruction. One is face-to-face to DE, so you've taught in a face-to-face class like B103 and you want to teach for us on Canvas. You are teaching in our ISP program, which is an enhanced correspondence form of education that has a distance component to it, and you want to teach in DE. Or you're teaching in DE at another institution, either using Canvas, LMS, Learning Management System, or a different LMS like Moodle or Blackboard. So we'll go through each of those three scenarios today. So the first of these is you've taught a face-to-face class and you're interested in teaching a DE course. And in this video, I'm focusing on what kind of transitions would you expect to have in that sort of scenario. The first is complete all our required trainings. We'll have trainings part of this onboarding process on the website, on the Canvas shell. We may have some additional trainings through Canvas itself. We ask you to become Canvas certified and competent such that you're not just familiar with the LMS, but you're really comfortable with all the bells and whistles and really diving deep into that LMS and using it for the best optimal opportunities for our students in your class. And then you make that modality leap. And this one is a little more mysterious and subjective. It's going to vary from person to person. I'll address at the end of this video whether or not, if you're a techie or not, that might impact this transition leap, as I call it, or modality leap. I would say that the face-to-face classroom is different than a DE class, as is compared to an ISP class. There are some things I like better about DE and some things that I don't, but I'm a particular instructor, as are you, so I think you're going to find as your journey moving from the face-to-face world to the DE world, that might differ than the experiences that I have. So we'll certainly talk about this in our trainings. The second scenario is you move from ISP to DE. So ISP has a really involved and informed staff just down past the library that you might communicate with either in person or perhaps you do it through distance, through phone or email and so forth. And they can certainly be a great support for you in terms of making a transition that might happen. The advantage is you've already taught in a, in quotes, distance format. It's a different distance format. It's more through the correspondence, enhanced correspondence of writing comments, sending those back and forth through the mail. And there's a bit of a lag there, obviously, as something is mailed out and comes back and so forth. With DE, of course, there is the possibility of some real-time stuff with video conferencing, but for the most part, there also is a bit of a time lag there as well, because someone might post something on your discussion board in the evening, and then you address it the next day and they write back, a few hours later. So there's a bit of a lag there. It's what we call the difference between asynchronous and synchronous instruction. So asynchronous means we don't communicate all at the same time. So in that sense, ISP and DE education at the college share something in common in terms of their potential for being asynchronous in nature. That could change. If you're doing video conferencing in DE, it is actually synchronous. Down the road, if we do something with Google Chromebooks, with ISP, which we've talked about, then that might be actually a little more in the realm of synchronous instruction. So what are some of those ISP to DE transitions? One of these, again, complete our required trainings. The classes that we're doing here as the onboarding experience continues to roll out. We'll ask you, of course, to become Canvas certified and competent. And then also you make that modality leap. To me, just very generally, I think the modality leap from ISP to DE is a little bit less than it is from face-to-face to DE or face-to-face to ISP. And the reason for that is because you're already involved in some format of distance. Because you're working with ISP, you already know about the lag of time and the fact that you don't have the student actually in your physical presence when he or she is working with you. So I think there's a little bit of an advantage in terms of that modality leap from ISP to DE. Now, from DE to DE, I think there's the least amount of, there isn't a modality leap. You're familiar with DE. It's just really learning maybe a new LMS or learning management system. So again, if you've taught in Blackboard before, you're familiar with an LMS, a learning management system, but it has a different approach to discussions. This is quite different than the discussion format in our LMS, which is Canvas, which is pictured right here. So what we'll do with you is work with you to make that transition as easy as possible. Treva Thomas is our very competent DE coordinator. She'll talk to you about making that transition and making it meaningful for you. We'll still ask you to complete our required trainings, become Canvas certified, and on here, I put check with us, because here's the situation. You might have Canvas training from your college and you have a certification that you can show us. If you show us that, that will fulfill our requirements for being Canvas certified. So please check in with us if you're making the leap from DE to DE from another district. Whether it's Canvas or Blackboard, it doesn't hurt to check in with us. And again, making that transition from a different learning management system to Canvas, I think it's not going to be as hard as some of the other modality leaps or transitions we're talking about today, but it's still worth certainly checking in with us in case you have any concerns about how you might make that meaningful in terms of your personal journey. In all of these scenarios I've described above or previously, you might need to do the following. 1, complete our onboarding processes, and again, check in with us to see where you are in terms of your training so we can certify you and check you off the list if necessary. 2, complete the Canvas training. As I said, if you have it from another district, we can look at that. Trevor can sit down with you and have a conversation and ascertain fairly quickly that you're competent teaching Canvas, and we can check you off on that. You might also need to meet with your department chair, dean, or other faculty in the department, not just to cover some of the Canvas and DE side of things, but making sure that you're able to have your syllabus and textbook and everything ready for your Canvas shell, for your class as you create it. So please, as I always say, just ask us. We're always here to help you and make that transition a little more smooth than maybe you even imagined it. Now let me end on this with some what about or what if kind of questions. Do I need to be a techie is the first question. And I would say that having previous immersion or experience with technology doesn't hurt, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't teach for us DE and learn Canvas. Like anything else, if you're competent in Microsoft Word or some video editing program, I think you'll find that Canvas is one of the easiest LMS programs out there to use. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. You know, in that sense, I have a picture here of classic versus skate skiing. I'm kind of a big cross-country skier. And so I use the analogy when I first started in cross-country skiing, I was just doing classic. And they're totally different, as you can tell from the stride here. There's more of a diagonal stride with skate skiing. When I went into skate skiing, the gear is different, the boots are different, the poles are different, but what was the same? My level of comfort with balance, being on skis, knowing about the movement through the snow and stuff. So there's always a little bit, to use that analogy, that carries over from your previous experiences with technology, even if it wasn't an LMS, you used Microsoft Word or some other program. Second, you already are familiar with being an instructor, and that gives you a definite advantage regardless of making a modality leap from ISP face-to-face into DE. So I think it's really a good analogy to think about because you have a lot more already available in your bag of tricks as a teacher, and even as someone maybe who doesn't have a lot of technology, you've probably had some technology available to you. Will the instructional quality be okay? I really advise you to watch all my videos. I always say that, like any other approach to life or to education, it's what we put into it. It's how we use the tools. We shouldn't get caught up in some sort of argument that DE education isn't good or it can't be as good as face-to-face. I think that's patently false, but it's true if you don't put the time in and you don't use all the tools available. And that's why with me and Trevor, we really want to work with you to make sure that you're super comfortable going forward in terms of teaching for us in Canvas, our LMS on campus. And then if you're curious about this, I recommend this video, which is on the onboarding site and Canvas Shell, LTCC Teaching and Learning. It's the basics of DE instruction. I'll take you through a much more deep dive of what DE instruction involves, what it's like, even some of these philosophical questions like, will the quality of the instruction be okay? So definitely check out that video. And as I say, the good news is this, and this is like the discipline perspective. Nothing from your discipline needs to be adjusted. Rather, the modality of how you deliver your discipline needs to be considered. Considerations need to be given in terms of how to deliver your discipline in the DE setting, for example, a demo. So if you're doing something in a laboratory setting, and that's super important to deliver your Title V course outline content, you have to think about how am I going to do that in the DE format, and that's where we come in with me and Trevor to help you with instructional design, technology, and using some of those tools available. So as you make this transition to DE instruction, whether you've taught face-to-face or ISP or in a different LMS as compared to Canvas, we wish you good luck, and we really want you to check out our other videos and resources so that this transition to becoming a DE instructor here at LTCC can be as seamless and meaningful as possible. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back with future videos like this one.